Hey, what's going on guys? Iptesh here. Welcome back to the channel. And here I have with me the Motorola Signature. I got the 16GB RAM model with 512GB of internal storage. And this cost me 60,000 rupees and then some cashback from Flipkart Access credit card. Overall net effective around 57,500 rupees, including all the Flipkart's charges and whatnot. Pretty crazy, guys. So yeah, non-sponsored content coming your way. There's a lot of sponsored content on the Motorola Signature. So let's see how it fares up in my testing. So if you want to support this kind of non-sponsored content, then please consider donating anything you wish to the payment address given in the description. This helps me a lot. It goes a long way in continuing this journey of purchasing items, reviewing, trying to stay clear of sponsorship, and share unbiased opinions. With that said, let's get right into the video. Before sharing my first impressions, I must say that when I posted about this on the YouTube community tab, I got a few responses that why did you buy this, why not something else. Like some people were saying this is overpriced and overhyped. Okay, those things are debatable, but people were suggesting why did not I buy the OnePlus 15R, or why not the Vivo X200T. Well, for the OnePlus 15R, it is pretty simple. I mean, it is like 45,000 rupees for the base model with 12GB of RAM, and more than that with if you want the 16GB model. So that mobile does not make any sense to me. At that price, there is no telephoto. That is unbelievable. At that price, I expect a very good quality telephoto lens on a phone at that price. Along with that, it doesn't have USB 3, no DisplayPort output support, future Android 16, Android 17 desktop mode. I don't want to miss out on that. So the OnePlus 15R, I have zero interest in that. Secondly is the Vivo X200T. That's a good one, but again, I did not go for it because again, it is also USB 2, so I don't want to miss out on the Android 17, Android 16, desktop mode. And also the fact that the X200T, it is MediaTek, not hitting on MediaTek. Okay, it has a pretty flagship 9400S, but I didn't want to go for MediaTek because of a different reason. I wanted to cover emulation on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 as well. So that is why I went with the Motorola. Also, the Motorola still has like a ridiculously powerful main sensor, which is quite amazing at this price in this current scenario. Like my Xiaomi 15 had a sensor like this, and you barely see a sensor like this in this price category. The Motorola Signature has a pretty unique set of features at this price range. It has a pretty top tier chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5. That is not a concern for me. I prefer Snapdragon. So the Motorola Signature having an 8 Gen 5 is definitely satisfactory for me. Okay. The Nothing Phone 3 had 8S Gen 4. This one has 8 Gen 5. And in my opinion, the Motorola Signature is what the Nothing Phone 3 should have been. But anyways, the Motorola Signature is here. So this thing has Snapdragon 8 Gen 5. It also has USB 3.2 Gen 1 with DisplayPort output. Also, this thing actually has probably the only alternative to Samsung DeX. So I'm definitely going to explore that. This is a lovely feature. It is so good to be able to use your smartphone, your very powerful smartphone, as a desktop replacement sort of. So that is something I'm definitely gonna explore in upcoming videos. So that is a huge feature with the Motorola Signature. Imagine taking videos and photos on the phone and then being able to edit that on a large screen from the phone itself. So that's really a feature that I look forward to in the future for every other phone. But yeah, it is present on the Motorola. Also, enough said about the camera sensors. Pretty top tier camera sensors in this price range. This is probably just about on par, if not slightly better than what I had on the Xiaomi 15. The Xiaomi 15 was also 60,000 rupees. It came with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. Yeah, that's right. And the Motorola Signature is having 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage, and it also has 1/1.28 inch sensor. My Xiaomi 15 had a 1/1.3 inch sensor. This thing also has a Sony LYT-600 telephoto sensor, which is 1 over 1.95 inch, and it has an f2.4 aperture. Most other brands with this sensor typically pair it with a lens which has like an f2.6, f2.7 aperture mostly. Motorola went ahead and added a f2.4 aperture, so it's wider than normal. So at least in terms of hardware, and I'm a hardware person, if the software is not competent enough, I try to look for other applications to take advantage of the hardware, but I want the hardware in the first place. Okay, and this Motorola has like pretty ridiculous hardware in terms of the cameras over here. Also, the battery, some people were wondering about the battery. You know, this thing has a 5200 mAh battery, and I think it is just about on the edge. That is something which is acceptable in my opinion. My Xiaomi 15 had a 5210 mAh battery, and this thing has a 5200 mAh battery. I think this is just about acceptable in 2026. This is a pretty slim phone, so I think in my opinion it is just about acceptable. Yeah, it doesn't have 6000 mAh. If it would have 6000 mAh, then it would have been amazing, but it is what it is. So overall, this culmination of features, the USB 3.2 Gen 1 with DisplayPort, external desktop mode, flagship camera hardware with a reasonable battery size, Snapdragon 8 Gen 5, 16 gigabytes of RAM. So everything, coming together at 60,000 rupees with card discounts, and I further got some cashbacks. So 57,500 rupees for me. So I think this particular, combination of features at this price range at this time of the year, I mean, in this current age, in this AI bubble, I think this is pretty good in terms of the package when it comes to, the feature set, the hardware feature set at least. But yeah, do let me know if you think that is justifiable. So let's start with my first impressions. So the unboxing was quite uneventful. You just get the phone and you get the charger. You don't get any kind of case and you don't get any kind of screen guard. Like this phone, this display doesn't have any screen guard, not even the plastic one. This is quite unfortunate in my opinion. All my other phones, like my iQOO, my OnePlus, my Poco, all other past phones which I had purchased, they at least come with a screen guard, like pre-applied screen protector. This one doesn't. That is quite disappointing to me. It is so hard to keep these screens scratchless, no matter whatever, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 or whatever it has. It doesn't matter. There is no screen protector. You will get scratches, very soon actually. So this thing doesn't have a screen protector, and that's quite disappointing. But overall, when it comes to the fit and finish, this phone is like super slim. Like it is much slimmer than my OnePlus 15, much slimmer actually, I would say. And it is a big phone, but it is actually very light and comfortable to hold. It is still not as comfortable as my Xiaomi 15, which was actually compact, but this is still like, it is very light in the hand. It does not feel bulky at all. So that's a pretty good thing in my opinion. So yeah, overall the physical aspects of the phone is actually quite good, I would say. The main highlight being that it is very slim and light. A bit about the UI. Look, I love stock-like UI, and the Moto's UI is very clean. But right off the bat, I can tell that it is not as fluid as my OnePlus 15's Oxygen OS. The Hello UI on this Motorola Signature is probably the best performing Hello UI among all Moto phones for obvious reasons. It's fast, but definitely not as buttery smooth as OnePlus 15's Oxygen OS. Certain animations are not as cohesive. It's hard to describe or represent in a video. It's not stuttering, but sometimes it seems like a frame is getting skipped. I don't know. Like take a look at Google Photos here. When I open a photo, the animation is smooth, but when I open a video, all of a sudden it's strangely laggy. It's like a consistent lag on the Moto. Meanwhile, the OnePlus has no issue. And sometimes the Motorola also starts performing well in this particular action. I don't know. It's just, sometimes it's just inconsistent. Again, generally it is very smooth, like 95% of the time, but definitely a bit undercooked, which is quite puzzling to me since this is overkill hardware for stock like Android. This is definitely not a performance issue, rather improper use of resources. Also, I don't want to spoil too much about the camera. The hardware is the best at this price point, but the stock camera app is incredibly basic. There is no pro video mode, which is quite shocking to see in a phone with this caliber of hardware. There is also no way to shoot high resolution JPEGs in automatic mode, which is absolutely a killer feature on my OnePlus 15. Looking at the video section, the Motorola Signature supports 4K 120fps on the main sensor, but where is the option? Get this, it is only available in the slow motion section. Like why? why isn't it available in the regular video mode like on my OnePlus 15? I deeply appreciate the hardware on this phone, guys, but the user has to be intelligent enough to use third-party applications to take full advantage of it. Right now, the stock camera application simply lacks the necessary features. Spoiler alert, I am already working on a Gcam mount profile for this and it is going to be awesome. I also ran a quick stress test and I was actually impressed given the slim build. The phone was able to sustain over 10 watt for around 6 minutes and then gradually throttled to around 6.5 watts average for the remainder of the 14 minutes. I think this is going to be a better gaming phone than the non-Ultra Galaxy S series. So we'll see. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my first impressions with the Motorola Signature. I mean, definitely it's going to be my daily driver from now on, and this phone definitely reminds me, like I feel this is what the Nothing Phone 3 was really supposed to be like a stock Android experience with great hardware. But yeah, that Nothing Phone 3 turned out to be a flop, and the Motorola Signature is promising, but let's see. I'm going to review it thoroughly. Don't worry, a lot of content will be coming with the Motorola Signature, a lot of comparisons as well. So stay tuned for all that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.